Hello, everyone. Hope all is well. Welcome to FXWB New Beginnings Podcast. This is my live this evening, month of May. We are heading back to talks on perimenopause and what's up with the big M. I in a group, and this was a big question. Lots of comments on there of people having various issues with menopause, perimenopause, symptoms of menopause. So I wanted to come on here and talk a little bit about same. What's up with the big M? The big M is menopause. So I am welcoming you in to listening to my talk this evening and hope I could shed some light on things happening right now. So let's see. I wanted to go to that um, group and give some examples of some of the things that were happening to them and just bringing some light on what's going on and how we can help ourselves feel better, look better in the long run. Okay. So this group, it's a women's group, of course, and most of the persons in the group are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. And normally those are the people that I would relate to. Uh, Functional Well-Being is my organization. And at Functional Well-Being, I look at helping middle-aged women regain their youthful self with 360-degree well-being coaching. Well-being coaching is all about looking at functional movement, mindset building, functional nutrition, as well as community building. So come on in, listen up. I'm Michelle Bailey, a functional practitioner, lifestyle practitioner, and basically that is a combination of looking at physical fitness, nutrition, mindset building, helping you, coaching you along in the area of fitness. Fitness being a healthy lifestyle. So come on in, listen in as I share some information with you this evening. Okay, let's see if I can find these different groups. So welcome on in. Thank you so much for checking in with me. And yeah, like my page if you want to. You can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, my YouTube channel, FXWB New Beginnings Podcast with Michelle. We relate to many different people. I look at well being from a holistic standpoint. What do I mean? So I look at various facets of well being. For me, I consider the health aspect and take into consideration all the things that I mentioned before: movement, nutrition, mindset building, community building. But there are other facets of well-being that I consider. For instance, your relationship with your maker, right? What is your relationship with your maker? Your level of security that you find with your maker, level of security with finances. Also think of community. What are your community goals? How do you relate to your community? Relationships, relationships between family members, extended family, relationship with co-workers. So it's all about looking at these different areas. Another area I would look at is cultivating your purpose. What is your purpose? What your purpose may be now is not the same 10 years down the road. Or if you may realize, it may not be the same 10 years ago. So cultivating your purpose is another crucial aspect of well-being. Yes. And it also helps you learn about self. So it's something that you want to really take into consideration where as you live throughout your life cycle. Correct? So you look at your security levels, community building, relationships, health, and looking at relationships. Well being is something that we want to think of as a holistic aspect of life, not just about being healthy physically, for instance. You want to think of emotional well being, you want to think of social well being, physical well being, spiritual well being. They all have a part to play in the whole you. So I always my catchphrase in my mind most of the time is the whole you becoming the well you. How can we do that? How can we become whole throughout our life cycle? And it's not just about physical health, but the holistic approach to health. So learning about yourself is not just a one and done thing. It is moving. It is not stagnant, and its ability for you to learn how to understand you in the different stages of your life. So this group I am in, the women were complaining about hot flashes, and it was like 11 p.m. in the night. And when I heard that, I wanted to know if they wanted to talk about it. Let's talk about this. What can we do to help ourselves with symptoms of perimenopause, menopausal symptoms? But before we even go there, I want to talk about what is menopause. What do we know menopause to be? Is menopause just a lifestyle? Is it something that happens once in a while? Is this a long-term period of being in menopause? What really is menopause, right? And for us to discuss that, I want us to remember we have different stages of our life cycle. And one of the things that I looked at is menopause is actually the life cycle. All right. There are four different stages: premenopausal stage, perimenopausal stage, menopause, and postmenopause stage. So they might be saying, oh my gosh, Michelle, you just confirm it. I'm going to be like this forever and ever. Amen. Calm down. Menopause is what it is. That is what the life cycle is called. All right. And I got this from Land Regional Medical Center Hospital in Louisiana. They outlined the four stages of menopause as premenopausal stage, perimenopausal stage, menopause stage, and postmenopause stage. And the premenopause stage, think of it as when you started in puberty with your menstrual cycle. And you had no noticeable menopausal symptoms. Estrogen production is high. This is when you can have babies, and all is well for some. Because sometimes people, when they're in the perimenopausal stage of life, can start off with problems. For instance, some people might start with their menstrual cycle late. Late meaning 15, 16, 17. And sometimes you could see that more with kids that are athletes, for instance. Or you might have kids starting pretty early, like 9, 10. And you actually see that happening more often than not now. And there are a few reasons behind it. One of them talking about the food we eat, creating that sooner than later onset of perimenopausal stage. All right. So this is the first stage. The second stage is perimenopausal stage. And this traditionally is the phase where it occurs between pre-menopause and menopause. So typically it's when you're in your 40s, but it can last several years as your estrogen production slows down. So when we talk about these different stages, we're looking at hormones. Hormones are pretty high in the pre-menopausal stage versus in the perimenopausal stage. This is when things start to go downhill. Things start to slow down. Estrogen levels start to slow down. We typically start in the 40s, but I've heard of women starting with perimenopausal stage life cycle in their 20s, late 20s. Some people might even feel like they have these perimenopausal symptoms as early as 20. And this is actually sometimes linked to something called chronic fatigue syndrome, CFS. But we'll talk about that later because younger ladies actually feel these symptoms of chronic fatigue syndrome, which is quite similar to perimenopausal symptoms. But typically, perimenopausal symptoms start at age 40 and go on. So it's a time frame. Now we have menopause. Menopause stage in the menopausal cycle, life cycle, is typically when women range from the age 30s to their 60s with an average age about 51. These women reach this stage when they have had no menstrual cycle for 12 consecutive months. So remember, the menopausal stage could happen with ladies in their 30s and 60s. And I remember reading in this group, some ladies did say that they were in menopause stage in their 30s, as early as their early 30s. I've seen that, and it's something that occurs. And but the stage is really considered when for 12 consecutive months you have not been able to see your menstrual cycle. That indicates a halted egg release from the ovaries. So somebody might say, but Michelle, I'm still ovulating, and I feel terrible. I don't know what's going on. Most likely you're still in the perimenopausal stage. Bear in mind, during both stages, you can have similar symptoms because the symptoms are quite similar. And we'll talk about the symptoms in a little bit. Postmenopausal stage. This stage begins after a full year without a menstrual cycle and continues for the remaining of the woman's life. Right? Got it? So there are four stages of which you as a woman go through your life cycle: pre, menopausal, perimenopausal, menopause stage, and post-menopause stage. And these are the four stages of the menopause cycle. Now, a lot of people would say one of the biggest symptoms they may feel is that of hot flashes. That is one of the common symptoms. Hot flashes. And yes, a lot of people might experience that early on in the game. All right. So in their 30s, they're already getting hot flashes. Some people continue having hot flashes in post menopause stage. But you have the other symptoms such as night sweats, mood swings, vaginal dryness, and sleeping problems. These are the common ones. All right. And this is because of a hormonal imbalance occurring, triggering on these common symptoms. But there are also unusual symptoms. So, for me, for example, I've encountered not hot flashes, but cold flashes. But you say, what is cold flashes? So, for me, for instance, I'm from the Caribbean. I'm accustomed to hot. I love heat. I love it when it's hot outside. But when it's winter in here, I am freezing. Even when it's summer in the US that I'm in here in Indiana, I still have a long sleeve because I'm cold. And this is primarily because during pre-menopause stage, I was diagnosed as anemic. So iron levels play a role in this. That's probably why I have now, in this stage of my life, perimenopausal stage, I get cold flashes. But there are other symptoms that we negate to consider when talking about perimenopausal stage or menopause stage. Some of them may be, for example, itchy skin, dry, itchy skin. Another one is brain fog, insomnia, um, sensitive, very sensitive to a lot of things. Think about you always shocking someone, for instance. That's another thing. Electrical shocks. When somebody touch you, you're shocking them. All right. So those are some of the unusual symptoms people might have. Another one, and I think it's actually an underlying issue, is digestive issues during the perimenopause and menopause stage. This one, a lot of people do not link hormone imbalances or the symptoms to. And for me, I believe this one is highly important to recognize as a symptom when it comes to being at these different stages of menopause. Dry eyes, vision change, being very clumsy, you know, nails breaking every time. So you have fragile nails, gum issues, withdrawal, burning tongue. So like your tongue always feel like it's burning. So you always feel like you're thirsty. All right. Voice changes. That's another unusual one. Suicidal thoughts. Some people have experienced that. And I found these symptoms, this listing, quite interesting. And I got it through the amazingmed.com for unusual menopausal symptoms. We tend to look at these and think that something is not wrong with us, but it does add up or link to hormonal imbalance within us. Problems, urinary problems. Woo, tell me about that one. That one is a huge huge problem for me. I know that for sure. um Again, everybody's different. How it affects you, how perimenopausal symptoms affect you You tell me. Let me know. It just everybody's different, but we have we may have similar issues, we may not have similar issues. Just understanding these issues is important to be able to figure out how we can help ourselves. Yes, great. So we talk about the symptoms, we talked about the different stages of menopause cycle, life stages. Let's go into understanding how we can help ourselves heal. Healing is necessary for us to be able to feel better from the inside out. Once you have an imbalance, it's going to affect everything. I would turn to gut issues because that is something that I think plays a crucial role in balancing what's going on with the our hormones in our bodies. Not just our sexual hormones, but even thyroid hormones, how it affects our hormones in our gut, and even the brain gut access through the vagus nerves, how it affects us in the brain as well. Simply put it, if our guts are not healed, we will always have issues with hormone imbalance. And let me break this down a little bit more. I am a ACSM certified personal trainer, and one of the articles that I read was alluding to this in different ways. For instance, they look at the 2023 July August ACSM Health and Fitness Journal discuss lifestyle medicine as a way to redefine the role of health and fitness professionals in promoting healthier lifestyles. So it's not just about exercising anymore. It's not just about getting into the gym and getting that workout in. It's more so now looking at lifestyle medicine. And they look at the components of lifestyle medicine are healthful eating, physical activity, managing stress, avoiding risky substances, improving your sleep, and cultivating sustained relationships. I also listened to a gut hormone connection talk, which I'm a part of the Functional Nutrition Alliance program, and we got to listen in to functional medical personnel talking about the gut hormone connection. And she recommended the concept of NEACE, which is looking at nutrition, exercise, stress levels, and sleep. So you see that is coming back into play with what ACSM is also talking about with healthful eating, physical activity, so exercise, managing stress, avoiding risky substances, that goes back to nutrition, improving your sleep, which she talked about, and cultivating a sustaining relationships. We are not looking at health and healthy lifestyle without looking at other factors other than physical health. So we have to have a balance of emotional health, spiritual health, your physical health, stress levels. Chronic stress can create havoc on the body from head to toe. I've done a live before talking about stress, and the American Association of Stress. They talk about so many different factors that affects us or are affected by an individual who is stressed, from insomnia to kidney issues to liver issues. um, having heart palpitations, high blood pressure, knowing that stress can create all these issues, we have to be mindful that in perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, even in premenopause, stress, if we have chronic stress, it's going to affect our microbiome in our gut and in our brain, which then in turn affects how our body balances our hormones and then how we feel. That is how these different symptoms show up in our body. So, stress is something we have to look at. Sleep patterns is another thing that we need to consider. If we not getting that REM sleep, that sleep where we have dreams and we well rested when we get up in the morning time, or whenever your work patterns are, if we're not engaging in REM sleep, we are not allowing our bodies to reset, recover, recharge. And if this is happening more often than not, our hormone balances would be impaired. We're not going to have that balance of cognitive, being able to think, and being able to relate our bodies to deep breathing and helping our bodies be in tune with and balance that is our hormones. So if we are having issues with stress, if we're having issues with sleep, coupled with we're not doing movement, our lifestyle these days is more so that of sitting at a computer. We have a lot of working from home issues. So we sitting down for 8, 10 hours in front of a computer. Blue screen lighting is going to affect us as well. And we're not physically active. If we're not physically active, then we are setting ourselves up for even more problems down the line or down the road with stress, because now stress will impact on us even more. Nutrition. So, in our gut, our small intestines in particular is a very important aspect of our digestive system. But before we even get to to the small intestines, we have the liver, which breaks down the food that we eat. It breaks down the proteins, fats, and carbs. If it is the liver cannot process these foods properly, the bacteria in our small intestines cannot break it down, or they may not become balanced. If we are not breaking down our foods, what goes through our bloodstream is not the right component of the foods that we're supposed to eat. Therefore, our bodies will think it is a attack on it, therefore creating inflammation in areas like our joints, for instance, or inflammation in our gut, bloating. We've heard about leaky gut. Everybody, I'm pretty sure, heard of leaky gut. So if it is we having the wrong components, the food not breaking down in the right molecules that it should, this in turn would be going through our bloodstream, and then our T cells will think there is intruder, and hence they will try to attack it to fix the situation. Once we have these intruders, inflammation is going to go in that particular area, therefore causing that inflammation component that we normally have. So some people might say they have rheumatoid arthritis. Remember, I talked about chronic fatigue syndrome. These people feel highly fatigued, peeing everywhere. They can't do exercise very often or a lot of exercise. A matter of fact, they want to lay down all the time. They want to sleep because they can't move as much. They feel a lot of pain in their joints. So it feels like rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia. These are different symptoms that they may be experiencing, and it's because their bodies, their internal bodies, trying to fight off the bad things, the bad bacteria. Okay, why am I talking about this? Because these symptoms that may be happening with us maybe be due to what we consume, the level of physical activity we do, the level of stress we are under, and the lack of sleep. It may sound simple, but that right there is a quiet and great, but yet great storm to create all the symptoms that we may be experiencing if we are in perimenopause or menopause stage. How do we fix it? So let's get into that. Given the information I've shared, I have looked at it and considered looking at the four keys to a well-being shift. As a functional lifestyle practitioner, I I wanted to connect the dots. I've been a personal trainer since certified personal trainer since 2007. So I've been into fitness. I've also been an athlete, a bodybuilding athlete since 2002. I have done shows, I have dieted, I have done long hours of cardio. I've been on many different stages for competition, and that was a different time of my life. Yes, I would love to go back on stage, but at this point in my life, I have to do things differently. What I did when I was in my 20s and 30s, I cannot do that in my late 40s. Things have to shift. There has to be a change in how I do things. So I look at functional movement, functional nutrition, cultivating a positive mindset, and engaging with a community as my four keys to a well being shift. This allows for us to consider the lifestyle, practice, medicine, and also the needs: nutrition, exercise, stress, and sleep patterns. So I want to share some tips with you today on what you can do to help you change or start changing the way things go for you. So, physical activity tips. Ladies, if you're over 30 and you haven't done strength training, you need to do it now. Pick up the weights, and I'm not just talking about 2, 5, and 10 pounds. Get working out, get that strength training going. I want to read an article I read, a 2020 article I read, talked about midlife functional fitness, a key to successful aging. This article explains about ladies between 45 and 64. They consider this as the midlife span, all right? And in this article, they emphasize the significance of achieving functional fitness during this life stage, and promotes that the idea of regular exercise for at least moderate intensity is essential for functional well being. Put in my words, we got to move. But you would say, Michelle, I do exercise already. I know what to do. Yes, you may or may not. At this stage of life, you got to move, but we have to know what to do. And some of the things that we may consider what we used to do before, like 2 hours long cardio. Some people say, yeah, I'm still losing weight doing that. Or I've just started doing that and I started losing weight. Fine. Congrats. Great. But each person is different. We are all unique. How our body reacts to exercise varies. That is key to us understanding how we can get better. However, At our age, strength training is important, cardiovascular exercise is important, and flexibility exercises are important for us to execute more often than not. What type of exercises you should do is dependent on what may be your issues. So we were talking about hormone imbalance, and insulin, for instance, is also a hormone. So if it is with diabetic and you've never been exercising before, you have a different protocol when it comes to exercising. But get up and move. If you have some level of obesity or overweight and you have joint issues, your type of exercise program is different. If you have chronic fatigue syndrome, you also you can't even get up off the bed, far less for you to work out. You need to be directed on what you should be doing as someone with chronic fatigue syndrome. So, based on what your medical issues may be, when you relate to your doctor what's going on, your general practitioner, learning what's going on with you helps to ascertain what may be the right type of physical fitness you have to do. So, working along with your general practitioner and then consulting with a personal trainer helps with those factors of understanding what is right for you. As I said, everybody is different. But once you fall in the bracket of ladies within that 40s to 60s, we lose muscle and bone structure as we reach 30. We go downhill, and that's because of the lack of estrogen going on too. We have to know that training is important. Being able to recognize that is important too. So, what you want to make sure and do is multiple component movements. I'm giving you a tip here. Don't just go to the gym and do the machines and you're good. No. Functional movement is just that. How can I pick up a bag of groceries on the ground without hurting my back? How can I reach to the cupboard and take down something from high with some weight? How can I twist in a way that I don't all of a sudden hear a pop in my low back? You want to be able to do movement that can help you do these different household or basic activities to help you be better at what you do without hurting yourself. Strength training is important. Functional training is important. So that's one of my tips for you when it comes to physical activity. We also can look at nutrition tips. So this one is big for me. If your gut health is challenged, then we have to be able to get fix to be able to absorb the foods that you are trying to consume, the healthy foods that you're trying to consume. What am I saying? So, some people would say they're eating all the healthy foods and I still feel bloated, I still feel uncomfortable. Um, why is this happening to me? Because you may not be eating the right healthy foods. I have a saying, all healthy foods are not healthy foods for you or me. What might be healthy foods for me may not be healthy foods for you. If you are not aware of the foods that would affect you, then more than likely you're doing injustice to yourself. For instance, some of the ladies suggested that they changed their eating habits by making sure and reducing carbs, or they stop eating sugars. Some people stop doing coffee. Those are really great ways to help you when it comes to trying to help your gut helped. What you need to know though is learning that if you change these things and you go right back to it, there would be an issue. Learning how to heal your gut helps us to learn how to heal our bodies inside out. So, yes, do get rid of those refined sugars for some time. You want to be able to, for some time, reduce refined sugars, gluten, dairy, opt to doing an anti inflammatory diet, which is going to be that of avoiding the sugars, the gluten, the dairy for some time. Um, Add in things to help make sure that you balancing off your estrogens, for instance. So, for instance, ground flax or flaxseed oil for estrogen detoxification, learning how to get that estrogen to balance off is a good idea. Making sure you have organic fruits and vegetables in. I say organic because you want to reduce pesticides. Pesticides, which is part of an environmental thing, can affect levels of inflammation in your body. So you want to be mindful that organic eating is probably the way to go. Again, you're trying to heal the gut from what's going on with it. You want to stay hydrated. So staying hydrated helps. Drinking lots of water is good, but not just only water. Fruits have water in it too, and actually, it's the better water that you want. You want to be able to have fruits and vegetables to help allow for great balance. Fruits and vegetables are carbs, they have fructose. That carbs break down to sugar. You want that type of sugar in your body. Okay. If you're diabetic, again, as I said, work with your general practitioner, your nutritionist, learn how to be able to regulate your diet and find out what is good for you. Just be mindful not only to look for macronutrients like the protein, fats, and carbs, but you want micronutrients too. You want the minerals and the vitamins. You want to be able to have that balance in your body too, because sometimes the lack of zinc or magnesium in your body, you may be experiencing cramps or the itchy skin or dry skin. Those things, if you have an imbalanced iron, for instance, because like for instance, I had low iron, these imbalances in the micronutrients can also be related to why we have certain symptoms going on with us. But anti-inflammatory diet, really good. Adding herbs, really good too. The third area I want to look at is a mindset as we wrap it up. Mindset is a external and an internal thing. What happens outside in our environment affects us mentally. It affects our mindset. And knowing how to switch it is something that you have to learn. But you want to think about things that can help you mentally to have a positive mindset to move forward. And one external factor is enjoy nature. Head on outside there, take deep breaths, learn how to become one in nature. People talk about grounding, that's another thing. Being able to get those electrons, helping your body recharge. That's a good way to help with mindfulness. Internally, mindfulness could be considering your values and owning up to your values. Your values count. You want to be able to know that you value something. This is what I believe in, and move forward with that belief and own up to it. That's who you are and believe in it. So, internally, you have to come to being mindful of who you are and value it. So you want to look at internal factors as well as external factors when it comes to mindset building. And learning how to control mindset building helps with stress. So, for instance, deep breathing. It may sound as simple as it is, but it is so effective if you're doing deep breathing regularly to help reset your full system, full body system. My fourth area, community and relationship tips. Build a strong community. Begins with each person taking responsibility of their actions and contributions. So you want to be in a community that you feel welcomed in, you know, and take responsibility for what you believe in and what you share and what you contribute to this group. When you feel comfortable in a community, it allows for that positivity and that relationship building to occur, which then helps you reduce your stress. So for instance, if you have a community of ladies coming together talking about what bothering them, but you can now join a group, the same group, and help them with different ways of helping themselves, you can be an asset to that group. So it made these things might sound really simple, but it actually does work. I haven't yet talked about taking hormone um for it for your hormonal problems. I've not talked about any medication yet. What I am trying to encourage us to do is start with the simple first. Start with within and come on out. Now, I am not saying that you should not take hormones. If it is, you are at a point in your life where you need that directive and your functional medicine doctor suggesting these things for you, go with an open mind. Learn about it. Recognize what are your strengths, weaknesses, and what might be a good opportunity for you versus might be a challenge for you. Learn about you. It's all about learning about you so you can help you in the long run and therefore your community, your relationships in the long run. So these were my tips that I would like to share with everyone. And as I said, I look at the four keys to well-being shift. If this is something that resonates with you and you need help with it, please listen into this again and reach out to me and let's talk. Let's see what is right for you. Because what I may experience in perimenopause may totally be different for you. But learning what is right for you in terms of what nutrition you need versus what physical activity you need to do in conjunction with mindset building and a community of people, you want to be able to work along with somebody to help you, coach you through this. At the end of the day, it's for you learning about you, but getting the right help is always necessary. So I am grateful for sharing this with you this evening, and I do hope I shed some light on things that can help others and help you make decisions on what to do in the following lifestyle that you have. This has been Michelle Bailey with Functional Nutrition and FXWB New Beginnings podcast. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to share those questions in the comments below and I will connect with you. Thank you for listening. Have a great evening. Bye for now.